All right, let's get right into it. Probably the number one challenge for any business analyst is taking a brilliant but kind of fuzzy idea and actually turning it into something real. It's that whole journey from what if to here it is.
So, the big question is, how do you actually pull that off, right? How do you connect the dots between a cool vision and a finished product without the whole thing getting completely lost in translation? Well, it really all comes down to having the right toolkit, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're breaking down the 5 essential tool categories that every BA needs to really master a project, from the very beginning to the very end. First things first, you have to lay the foundation. This is that early stage where you're buried under a mountain of raw info, notes from stakeholder meetings, documents, random data points, and your job is to turn all that chaos into something clear and actionable. And your first stop is a classic for a reason. Good old Microsoft Excel. Seriously, don't underestimate this thing. It's so much more than a spreadsheet. For a BA, it's an absolute powerhouse. You can build traceability matrices to track requirements, manage product backlogs, and do some serious initial data analysis with things like pivot tables and VLOOKUP. This lets you sift through thousands of data points super fast to spot those early trends, the kinds of insights that can either prove you're onto something big or stop a bad idea in its tracks.
But here's the thing. Lists and tables can only take you so far. To really get everyone on the same page, from the engineering team to the head of sales, you have to create a shared picture of the plan. You gotta make it visual.
And this is where a BA has a key choice to make. Do you go with something like Microsoft Visio? It's the long-standing industry standard, super powerful, desktop-based, perfect for creating those formal, detailed diagrams. Or do you go with a cloud-based tool like Lucidchart, which is built from the ground up for real-time collaboration? This is amazing for remote teams where you need everyone to jump in at the same time and agree on how a process should work.
So, you've got your blueprint, it's crystal clear, everyone's on board, great. Now the focus shifts. The challenge becomes all about driving action, about turning that beautiful plan into a real, functioning product.
Now, in most modern teams, this all happens inside an agile framework, and it's really just a simple but super powerful loop. You define the work in little chunks called user stories, you prioritize them in a backlog so you're always building the most valuable thing first, and then you track them obsessively as they move toward being done.
And this is exactly where the agile powerhouses Jira and Asana come into play. These tools become the single source of truth for the entire team. They're where you manage every single user story, track progress visually on a board, and generate those crucial reports, like burn-down charts that tell you if you're on schedule, to keep all your stakeholders in the loop. For a modern BA, knowing one of these tools inside and out is pretty much non-negotiable.
But here's the catch. A list of user stories in Jira, no matter how perfectly you write them, doesn't always paint the full picture. To prevent those costly misunderstandings later, stakeholders need to actually see and feel what you're planning to build.
And this quote just nails it. A simple, clickable prototype can answer way more questions and uncover more hidden issues than a 100-page requirements document ever could. It just makes the whole thing tangible.
For this, you've got 2 fantastic options that are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. You've got Balsamiq, which is all about speed. It makes these simple, sketchy-looking wireframes that are perfect for getting quick, gut-check feedback on a concept. Then you have Figma, which lets you build these beautiful, high-fidelity, interactive prototypes that look and feel just like the final product. This lets you test out the entire user flow before a single line of code even gets written.
Okay, so you've built the thing, the project is launched, success. But a BA's job is never really over, is it? Now the role shifts from delivery to strategy. It's all about turning that raw data into smart business decisions. Now you have to answer the really big questions. Was this project a success? How do we actually prove its value? And maybe the most important question of all, what does the data tell us we should do next?
So, forget sending around static reports that nobody reads. With modern business intelligence tools, you can create dynamic, interactive dashboards just like this. Now, stakeholders don't just see a number, they can actually play with the data, filter it, and drill down to find the answers to their own questions.
This is the world of Power BI and Tableau. These tools let you connect to all kinds of different data sources and tell a really compelling story. You can spot trends and deliver those actionable insights that really influence big business decisions. And this is the key. Mastering these tools is what elevates a BA from just being a requirements gatherer to becoming a true, data-driven strategist.
So let's pull this all together.
The goal isn't just to know the names of a bunch of software. It's about understanding the unique power that each one gives you. Think of them as your analyst superpowers.
Think about the whole journey we just walked through. You start by organizing chaos with spreadsheets. Then you visualize complexity with diagrams so everyone shares the same vision. From there, you're driving action with task managers, and you're making abstract ideas tangible with prototypes. And finally, when it's all live, you're telling powerful stories with data to prove its value. Each step builds on the last, giving you a complete strategic toolkit.
Each of these tools unlocks a totally new capability, a new way for you to add value. So, the only real question left is, now that you've seen the whole toolkit, which superpower are you going to build next?